Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Max Saves the World podcast. Connor, and Michael, we all want to thank you guys for the support we got in our last video. It seriously did really well, and you guys are to thank for that. We got, I think, around 115 views at this point, and thank you guys for doing that. The support is great. We really appreciate it. Thank you for all the people that liked the video, subscribed. That really helps us out a lot. So thank you guys. Just keep doing that. Seriously, thank you guys a lot. I don't really have much else to say other than just thank you because we weren't expecting to get the numbers that we did.
I expected 20 views, maybe 2 minutes watch time.
Yeah, but seriously, thank you guys so much for that. This episode we're gonna be trying out some new stuff. Primarily is we are taking questions from our Discord. So if you guys don't know what Discord is, it's basically a platform to connect on the internet. It's similar to a Skype group chat, stuff like that, but it's a lot more in depth. So if you guys want to check that out, our Discord is it's linked in the description, so you guys can go check that out there.
Also follow the Instagram.
Yes, we will be having questions on the Instagram. I run the Instagram, and we will be for our next episode, we will be taking questions on there. So any way you want to give us questions, you can, email us questions, whatever you want. We want questions. We want interaction.
Yep. Yeah. So we have 2 questions today, both from our Discord. The first one is from Turner. Can cats have salami?
This is a very in-depth and long question. My personal take is that cats can have a little bit of salami only if they have been good.
I think I agree as well. Cats need to be good boys and girls, and they can have a little bit of salami, but not too much because it's bad for them.
They have to be healthy.
And really, what it comes down to is, shall we reward good behavior from cats? I think so.
That's true.
Second question. A little bit more on color. It's from Liam. He was asking, will the information age continue on its dangerous trend of misinformation and biased reports, or will it become such a necessity for us to receive true and unbiased facts that major news networks will no longer be as polarized as they are now? So it's a little bit different from the last question. What's your guys' take on this one?
Personally, I'm kind of a pessimist when it comes to that. I don't think there's necessarily going to be a point where receiving true, unbiased facts becomes a necessity, because a lot of people, they like hearing the more biased information because it just makes them feel more passionately about news, and especially just with people getting more antagonized to each other. I don't really see a route where it naturally corrects itself.
Right, yeah. There's gonna have to be some, it would have to be a big shift in culture and what people want from the media, and a lot of people would have to kind of wake up to what the media is actually doing, which is spreading a lot of misinformation, being very biased and presenting it as unbiased, and almost all of almost all of the major news sources, have apparent bias, and a lot of people will just say that doesn't exist. So there would have to be a major not to say awakening, but you know what I mean. A lot of people would have to change their opinions on that very quickly.
I agree with that, mainly just because everyone knows that Fox News is opinion. You can't solely take what Fox News is giving you, right? It's dangerous too, right? Because it'll very much warp your beliefs. But at least Fox presents themselves as an opinion channel. When you look at a company like CNN, right? CNN is the platform for news in our country, right? Now, CNN does not lean as left as Fox News leans right. Don't get me wrong here. But what happens is they present what they're saying in a very, in a biased light, just frankly. They don't, but the problem is that they don't preface it with saying that what they are reporting on has a certain media bias towards it, right? They claim it to be purely fact, right? And I think the main problem is Connor and I were talking about this earlier. CNN is on in every single restaurant, pretty much, across the East Coast, across the West Coast. I mean, you go into the Midwest and it's Fox, but like, CNN is everywhere, and it is the dominant news, like, information hub in our society today. Yet it has such a clear and apparent bias that people are so willfully ignorant to. And I think that's just a huge problem because it's warping people's beliefs. I think, there are obviously places where you can get more unbiased information, like the Associated Press, PBS, places like that. But a lot of people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear the unbiased facts because they don't necessarily align with their beliefs. I mean, because when I think it was 60 Minutes did a report on Bernie Sanders, and in the interview, Bernie could not tell them how much his, healthcare and education plans costed. People didn't want to listen to that. They wanted to listen to the more biased opinions about Bernie and like how it's going to work and stuff like that. That's obviously just one example, but people want to listen to what they want to hear, not just what is necessarily true or false. So I'm not sure if we'll ever get to a point where we can truly have unbiased news reporting just because of things like that. I mean, that was just one example.
I think the question's interesting since I see a lot of people saying that, with the media, it's been very recently that they've been getting very misconstrued, getting more biased and all that, but I don't think that really has ever been true. As he said in the question, it's more about the information age, where anyone has it's much easier to just look at a headline rather than before you'd actually have to sit down and watch the program or actually go out and find a newspaper. But when we're just on our social media, like conducting business on our computers, and we can just see headlines, I think it's building on the system that was already there. When it comes to actually fixing it, though, I don't really see a way for it to be done, because these media companies, at the end of the day, they are businesses, which some people would debate the morality of profiting off of news when it's supposed to be completely unbiased and it's supposed to be objective. But at the same time, that's kind of the capitalist system, and I would never call for the government to regulate that type of thing, since government regulating media would be a disaster. But at the same time, I don't see a scenario where the industry is able to self-regulate itself, because that would completely ruin their profit.
Yeah, and like this has been a problem since the progressive era. I mean, you had people like Joseph Pulitzer and his sensationalistic news and headlines. The what were they called? The yellow
papers, something.
Yeah, yellow papers. They were all tabloids, right? And we're having that sort of same headline sensationalism right now, like in our country. With I mean, because what people want to do is they want to get clicks now on the internet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what they're doing is they're just going and giving the most outlandish title to try to get the most clicks. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, I think, we're sort of going back to that sort of sensationalistic news, which is interesting, certainly. Like, it's all sort of a cycle.
Mm-hmm. Also, what reason would they not have to try to build up their online presence when we've been seeing that cable news and newspaper news is on the decline? So to keep themselves even in, like, profits aside, keeping themselves in business, and they have to do it online, and they have to make the sensationalist headlines, because also now with anyone being able to launch any sort of news website, there's so much competition to get readers. Mm-hmm, so they're forced into it. I do believe that there probably is. I don't believe it's malicious intent, really. Since a lot of people seem to really think that there's just these really malicious CEOs of these media companies purposefully trying to cause civil unrest, all these types of things. but I just believe it's a company trying to stay afloat and relevant in a really competitive market.
One thing that is, yeah, exactly, the competitive market. One thing that I think is, I mean, causing so much of the biased news in our country today is, I mean, the news businesses are businesses. That's what they are. They're private businesses. So if they need to make money, they're gonna do what they can to make money. And that a lot of the times, what that is simply just leaning towards one, side of the political spectrum and just gathering an audience that's going to keep, going back to that news source for their information because it makes them feel good about themselves. And
Yeah, I mean, look at InfoWars. I
right,
mean,
exactly.
InfoWars is an insanely profitable media company, right? And they're ridiculous. I mean, what they talk about is absolutely ridiculous and not news. It's dangerous to public opinion, but it's effective, right? Like, it's certainly very effective. So people, it's just reaffirming the belief that companies are out to make money, and people just want to hear what they want to hear. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to say, Connor, but I just thought I'd butt in there.
No, that's, yeah. But I do want to speak on one thing that Michael said, and you said there's no malicious intent. I think there are people out there, and I don't think it's the majority, but I think there are people out there that want to drive a wedge between the country. And I don't know where they are. I don't know if they, work for the news media businesses, or if they work for, or if they're in the government. But it seems like there is a wedge being driven between the two sides of our country.
I don't
and I don't
deny
know.
that there are people with malicious intents. I don't think the industry is coming together to do it. I don't think there's a big conspiracy. I think it's just people acting naturally in a way to make profit, which I guess technically is conspiracy, but it's a profit conspiracy more than it's a people conspiracy to divide people just for the sake of division.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's like a new world order behind.
I don't think like they're trying to cause an American civil war as much as they just want their quarter 1 profits to be up 3%.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, some capitalistic stuff. So our answer to that, Liam, is
I don't think
yes.
So.
No, yeah, it will continue on its dangerous trend.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I don't think it will get better, is what I meant.
Right. Yeah. So our answer to that is yes.
So
Okay.
if you want to submit any questions to have a discussion
Please.
like that, please do.
They're fun.
Yeah, okay. So moving on, the big thing, of course, is still coronavirus, which we touched on last episode. We also had a discussion on education, but we've actually finally now started the learning at home experience that the school districts have been pushing out. So I guess let's just take this time to discuss how you personally enjoyed it or not, if you believe it's effective. Personally, I'm kind of conflicted over it. I feel like it's not enough and not too much. I feel like it's enough and not enough at the same time, because I feel like they could be doing it in a way that was definitely much more productive and for better learning, but at the same time, I feel like they shouldn't be assigning a full school day of work. So I'm very conflicted, so I'm just I want to hear your thoughts.
So, yeah. So we're all juniors, right, in high school. And this is our second semester of high school. And we all take, college prep, pretty, hard-ish classes. They take more AP than me. But, we all take fairly, what would be the word?
Rigorous.
Rigorous, rigorous classes, for the more smart people in the school. And, here's some stuff that I had. I had to do 2 questions for math this week. I had to choose 3, I had to brainstorm 3 ideas for an essay for English. I had to answer 7 survey questions for contemporary US history, and I had to watch a movie and then give like a couple sentence response on that. And then I had to just answer like a short question for career development class and answer a survey for art. That is so little work compared to actual schooling. It's just I didn't learn anything. I think it's completely like it's busy work at this point. They want us to like they want to appear like we're still doing stuff, but who knows, maybe it'll change, but it seems like this is not very effective.
I think the problem is that they had so little time to set this up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like for chemistry, I learned stuff. I learned a lot of stuff this week during chemistry. For my
Yeah,
chemistry.
I did as well. But also, we do take it as a block class, so we should expect a better load. But I will say that even if other classes did assign the same workload, the chemistry definitely was much more efficient at teaching than just giving busy work.
Yeah, and so I take AP United States History, um, which is at least in my school, it's a very rigorous class, just the way it's taught. And I thought the way that my teacher handled that was effective too. He basically this week was also going to be one of the easiest weeks too. Is he just wanted us to finish up things that were on the syllabus that we got about a month ago and finish that up for all the stuff that was over our 2 week, or I guess it was like more like 4 weeks maybe.
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
already a month off.
Yeah, a break from school. Um, so I'm not really. I think it'll definitely get better over time. For a lot of teachers, it's very hard to teach math when you're not one on
Yeah.
one with students. Um, so I'm sure that's going to be a challenge. I think it'll get better as it goes on, for sure. I think, again, the main problem is they had 4 weeks to create a full online schooling system. You know what I mean? Which it wasn't really quite enough time, I don't think, for them to get everything plotted out and to get all the teachers on board with how they're going to do things and stuff like that. So I think I think it definitely is going to get better, and it's going to have the potential to be an effective alternative. But at the time being, I'm not sure if it's quite there yet, especially for classes that aren't at like an extreme rigor or an AP class. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also kind of want to discuss the whole grading, the way that they're going to do grading. This can be a bit more specific to our school, but you can open it broad to just this online learning experience in general. At least with our school, they're kind of just saying no grades for the time being, and just do the work that we're given online, just for the sake of continuing being engaged in learning. But do you think that at some point they should open it back up to actual grading or a pass or fail system or what?
Yeah, pass or fail system. Because like we're in classes where people like we're in classes where people are going to do their work, but then there's other classes in the school like the lower level classes where kids are like, I'm not going to do my work. There's no grades. So yeah, you have to keep kids learning, but you also have to take into account that some kids are not going to want to learn. So you kind of have to
Mhm.
force them to. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you fail the class if you don't answer this 2 sentence question. And then they'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll do that.
I think. Oh, what was I gonna say? It was. Oh yeah, I don't think you can really truly do an actual grading system when you're doing at home learning, or at least a similar one to what we do at school, because there's so many other factors that go
Yeah.
into how much learning you're getting done in a day. So for me, it's a lot harder to stay focused and on track with my schoolwork when I'm at home, when I can go outside whenever I want, when I can play video games whenever I want. So it's harder for me to stay focused and on track with that stuff when I'm at home than it is at school when I'm basically in the building for 8 hours in a day, learning, um, having interactions with my friends, my teachers, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
I've
I
I've
think those
seen
factors alone
I've
make
seen
a
some
difference.
people saying though that maybe should be more just student accountability, which I personally disagree with that, but I can see where they're coming from with saying just because you're at home doesn't mean you should be able to get away with maybe not doing as much as you could.
Yeah. Also, for like people in lower income houses, how can you guarantee that, so say they have one computer in the house, how can you guarantee that they'll have enough time on that computer to do all their work if their parent needs to be on it to work from home, stuff like that. So I think access to resources too is a huge question mark.
Yeah.
For some school districts, ours is not as big of an issue.
Yeah, we're definitely
as others.
blessed. We can have
Yes.
a device for every student, but
One thing I will say to that is I agree. I'm not disagreeing, but everyone does have a phone nowadays. Like even in low income areas, most people have phone. And now, and that, I mean, they have Google Classroom, on the phones and stuff. So I think in today's era, compared to like even like 10 years ago, it's more possible, you know?
Yeah.
But still, I mean, there are problems, but it's crazy that, like, I was thinking about what my parents do. They would just have no schoolwork. They would just go home and
yeah.
have
Mhm.
summer, you know? They'd just bike around the neighborhood and stuff. But we have, obviously some stuff to do because they can do it. So, yeah.
I think though that only working on a phone kind of restricts how much you're able to get done. For me specifically, like when I'm like trying to type an essay on my phone, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm not getting the best work done.
Oh yeah.
For me, it could just be sitting down at a computer typing it out. Like maybe that is just a ritualistic thing that helps me get in the zone. Um, like now that may not be the same for everyone, but I feel like having a actual computer is incredibly conducive to learning for whatever reason. I don't know if it's the larger screen or the physical keyboard or something like that.
I would agree.
At a very basic level, most people probably can't type 60 words a minute on a phone.
Yeah. Well, I can probably type faster on my phone actually.
I mean, with
Have you ever thought
autocorrect,
about
I
that?
guess, but
Yeah. Well,
I-
autocorrect.
I don't know. If I'm getting in the zone, I'm more effective on a computer. Also, with phones, you risk someone gets a notification and then they're suddenly off track for 2.5 hours.
That's very true. Yeah.
Which I know I would definitely be guilty of that.
I think with the whole learning plan, I think it's also hard to get teachers to not budge, but start getting into doing the whole giving students work outside the classroom, like specifically math teachers, like because math teachers have a very set way of how they want to do things. You know what I mean? So as soon as you throw a wrench into that system, it kind of like rocks their world a little bit sometimes. I mean,
Yeah.
there are awesome math teachers out there, and I know
Especially older ones, maybe.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's a challenge too. Is like this isn't ageist, right? But like older people have a harder time with technology because they haven't been exposed to it their whole life. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So how can you guarantee that every class is going to be the same difficulty when teachers have different understanding of technology, how to use it, and stuff like that? So
Looking at my math teacher and my chemistry's teacher, different versions of doing it. When one's much younger, one's much older. It's definitely a different level of efficiency and understanding technology.
We're not gonna say names, but your which is my math teacher, and my old chemistry teacher, which is your chemistry teacher. I think there's a 30-40 year difference in that.
Probably.
yeah.
Do you know how much has changed in 30 to 40 years technologically? Like, that just more proves what you guys were talking about. Like, there's such a difference in technological understanding. And in today's world, you're kind of seeing how you kind of fall behind. And you have to kind of like catch up if you aren't technologically fluent.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's another reason to not have it be a normal standard grading system. Because how can you guarantee that one class, so say my trigonometry class, or let's take your trigonometry class. How can we guarantee that your trig class is the same difficulty as a different teacher's trig class? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
You can't, because teachers are different, have different understanding, and have a different idea of what they want to do at home. So it's like you can't standardize anything when you're in a situation like this.
Yeah, it's I wonder how long cyber school programs worked on their cyber school before it was functional. And our school had what we said 3 to 4 weeks
Yeah.
to just do it on Google Classroom. Like, yeah, if they had a couple years, I'm sure you could start standardizing grades, but it just wouldn't be fair to students at this point.
Even looking at Latin program, which I take online through school normally, they're still running off of stuff that they built like back in the early 2000s, and it's not even a perfect system. So it's definitely an imperfect system.
I think
Right.
I think it's just more of an issue with online schooling in general, because how can you guarantee that someone online is going to get the same education as someone in a physical classroom?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, looking past coronavirus, you look into online charter schools and online college. I mean, are they going to be as efficient at getting their work done as someone in a like a physical school? I mean, I understand that for some people, if they have like crippling social anxiety and things like that, going to a physical school can be very detrimental to what you're doing. But people always kind of seem to praise online as a good second alternative to a physical school. But looking at it now, I mean, it's like I would almost rather be back in the school learning than doing this, because it seems like what we're just doing is busy work and not actually learning. I just
There's a lot of accountability issues too.
yes,
Yeah, most definitely.
like you can't, like, for a lot of teachers, they have no way of guaranteeing that you actually did your work. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. It's so crazy that in school it's hard to get kids to do work, and now they have to like be like, okay, do your work, but there's no grades, but do it online, but don't cheat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Yeah.
it's so funny that like yeah, teachers are like giving kids detentions for not doing their schoolwork in school and yelling at them in person. They still won't do the work, and now the teachers have to like get kids to do their work virtually. It's just a little ridiculous.
And the anti-cheating thing is a big deal for the college board right now, because all the AP tests are online. So it's like,
Right.
like, I'm gonna be surprised if so. I'm gonna be surprised if they're gonna be able to root out some cheaters. But one thing that I heard from my AP United States teacher was that if the college board suspects that you cheated on your exam, they're gonna notate. So they're gonna notate your result with like potential cheater.
What?
so that is gonna be sent to colleges, the colleges that you apply for, and if you choose to report your AP score. So if
Potential
you
cheater.
Yeah, so if you potentially cheated on your exam, the colleges will see that.
I sure
is,
as
like,
hope they have a good
insane.
system in place to prevent that from being a problem.
Yeah, is it just gonna be
Yes.
like if you click off the tab or something?
I have no idea.
Like if you click off the tab on accident, now you're a potential cheater, and all the colleges can see that.
I don't know enough about web page design to know if that's possible, but I mean, like, that's a big deal. Like that's worse than taking it physically and then like you look off someone's paper. No one will ever know. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you're not going to be marked as a potential cheater. Also, what if there's someone who didn't actually cheat and that's on them, so they can't report that score to their colleges? You know what I mean? Which is just insane.
Yeah.
Because like, what if they legitimately got a 5, but they can't report that? I mean, big questions.
Very big questions.
We'll find out.
We will.
It's a very shaky future, like a very unstable future for this whole online schooling thing. But it's kind of cool because we're living history. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty much the modern day equivalent to the Great Depression. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that our grandkids will be asking us what the quarantine was like, you know, or something like that. But that's I don't know. It's a weird feeling, but it's a cool feeling, I guess.
It's so crazy because we come from a place of privilege where we're just like, oh, 6 month break, and we have all the food we want, and we can play video games and sleep all day. But then other kids, like, unfortunately, this is terrible for them. So everyone's situation is going to be different. Like, our grandchild asking us what the quarantine is like, we're going to be like, oh yeah, it was fine. We just stayed inside. But then other kids, maybe from a poor area would be like, oh no, it was terrible. It was, it just has a different effect on everybody. Some people like it, some people hate it.
Yeah.
And what I think is funny is the kids who are complaining. Makes me so mad. The kids who are complaining about school during school are now complaining that they're not in school and they hate the quarantine. I feel like you need to just pick one,
Yeah, I'm hoping at the very least this will give people a sense that you may not like the classwork, but school is a valuable and important part of your life that you should be appreciating more.
I definitely I undervalued school for sure because it provides you with so much more than education, but it's a social outlet as well as it provides you activities to do like sports.
Yeah.
I mean, because our local sports organization canceled all sports for the year. Finally, I mean, it took them forever, but like that's a big deal because a lot of kids' sports are their lives.
I think that was actually national. I think the PIAA. Is that Pennsylvania PIAA?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, but yeah. All across PA, they took forever to cancel sports, and they didn't even cancel sports when school was canceled. They waited until after school was canceled to cancel sports, which is funny. But one thing I wanted to say is like I would wake up at 5:50, right? Get to school at 6:20, and then I wouldn't leave school till 5:30 or 6 in the afternoon. Like that's how much school was to me because I would get in, I would work out in the morning, then I'd work out in the afternoon for track. So it's such a big shift that I feel like a completely different person.
Yeah.
Like it's so crazy the dichotomy of life now versus like, working out twice a day, doing school all day, getting home and falling asleep at 8:30 because I can't physically finish my homework. And now I'm just like, this is fun. I'm just chilling, playing video games 10 hours a day. It's just such an interesting dichotomy.
Yeah. Well, for me, myself and Michael, we're both heavily involved in music activities. So I'm in the marching band, the musical, the indoor drumline, stuff like that. So it's weird because now all those things are gone, right?
Next week I'm supposed to leave for Dayton, Ohio.
Yeah. So like marching band and indoor drumline are notoriously like big time consumers of your life, right? And like that's a huge part of my life. You know what I mean?
Right.
On top that and work, are the two things that I do after school almost every day. You know what I mean? So now, I don't have any of that. I personally could still work because I'm an essential worker, but like Connor, I mean, your job was just canceled. I mean,
yeah, I'm out of money.
Yeah.
I have no more money.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But so two of the biggest things in kids' lives are just gone now. So I think there's a big identity crisis right now for a lot of people too, because they don't know what they even want to do anymore, because it's not like they have any of the things that makes up their life. They just are kind of stuck at home.
I feel so unproductive. Like I launched my Duolingo streak, my Code Academy streak. I've been practicing my music because I feel so empty.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing that the only time I feel alive during the day is going for a run or working out. I'm like, oh no, this is what it's like to be human. But then I go back to sitting down and I'm like, I'm just a mind. I don't even have a body. I'm just floating around.
Yeah. Like the transcended human being, like image where it's like out of body, like.
Yeah, if this is what it's like to be an intellectual who has transcended their body, I don't want to be it. I want to be a human again.
Humanity is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. I don't know. It's just so crazy.
For me, the worst thing is the lack. I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
No. Keep talking.
For me, the worst thing is the lack of social interaction.
Ugh.
It's so bad.
And
Like
that's with being able to hop online every single day.
Right.
Yeah. Like I talk with my friends every day for probably 8 hours, over video games, Discord, stuff like that. But you know,
It's not the same.
I am. Yeah, no, it's not the same. Like I'm a decently social person. Like I'm a social dude, and so now I just feel like completely empty. Like not being able to go anywhere with my friends. Like even going outside and getting an ice cream cone. Like with these two guys, with Connor and Michael, or something. Like the fact that is just gone from my life is just like it's kind of like a shock to your system. You know
Would
what
you
I mean?
classify yourself as an extrovert? Do you get energy from social interactions?
To a certain extent, yeah. But like when I get home from a day of like super long interactions with people, I am just drained. Like,
Right. That doesn't make you not an extrovert, though.
yeah,
I'll just you. I think what I would say is me and you are extroverts. I think I'm more of an extrovert than you,
yeah,
but Michael is not.
Well, no, I would. It's an oxymoron, but I've heard this term used before, an introverted extrovert, where I kind of feel like an extrovert, like as my true self, but I just have a fear of new and unfamiliar people. But if I'm not talking with those people who I like know, or even sometimes there are some people I'm not really good with that just talking to them, I crave it and I need it. I go
Right.
insane if I just sit by myself in my room. I cannot spend too much time alone.
Can you guys
I,
imagine hanging out with your friends again?
it's
Like
like a
just
foreign concept at this point.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for just hanging out with all my friends again and just being like seeing them like pulling into the driveway or something,
Oh.
or like seeing them walk down the street and you're like meeting up with them and you're like, yo, like that just that there's nothing better. And usually I'm like, oh no, I see my friends every day. Why would I care that much? But now it's like just seeing them in person would be like that would make my week, make my month.
Right now, what I miss, especially with this weather, is going on car rides, windows down,
Oh,
air
definitely.
conditioning on, like just blasting, music really loud, driving, with your buddies talking, like that sort of thing, especially with the weather change too. Like I think this could not have hit at a worse time, specifically because the weather is getting so nice. You want to be outside with your friends doing stuff, but you
Mhm.
like cannot because you're trapped in your house. Just this it's so weird to me because like every time I go outside, it's like, oh, this is so nice. Like the world is perfect. I love everything. But then like you have to realize that like all this stuff's going on. You can't be outside your house with all your friends. It's just
Right.
it's a crazy thing.
I was really excited for this. I was going to get my license, um, like the day that school was canceled. Like the first day we would have been back if school wasn't canceled, if that makes sense. So my permit is going to expire too during Corona. I'm going to have to re-get my permit, then I'm going to have to get my license, but it's going to be so late and I'm going to completely miss all the fun that I was going to have with my license. And it's just like, I don't know. It's ridiculous. All right. Do you guys want to move on?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Keep this podcast rolling. We have is Idubbbz a simp?
Yes. Okay. So this has been a question that's been plaguing the internet. It is a plague, honestly.
Yeah.
Over
I
the
will-
past,
I'll-
I'd say, week and a half.
I'll give
We're
it
a
a
little
rundown.
late to it. Yeah.
I'll give a rundown for you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Idubbbz, internet god, basically. Everyone loves Idubbbz. Not everyone, but most people really like Idubbbz.
He was seen as a peak memer.
Right, for the meme community.
Champion of gamers. Like
Right.
He's that
And
guy.
his fan base seemingly a little toxic all of a sudden because his girlfriend posted on Twitter that she was having an OnlyFans account, which basically is just like you pay to see promiscuous photos of females. Now, what's interesting about hers
Why do you
is
put
that
it that way?
she's
Promiscuous images of
well,
females.
I don't know how else to put it because they're not always naked.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like Idubb's girlfriend isn't even naked in her OnlyFans, and his fans are calling him a simp. Which, if you guys don't know what simp is, simp is when you suck up to a woman. It's kind of toxic. The word, I would say, a little bit.
Yeah,
It's like
I think the problem is just the word itself. I mean, it's like it's like all of a sudden like demonizing people who are nice to people. You
nice
know
to
what I
women.
mean? Or,
Yeah.
yeah.
It broke out as a meme, and now it's actually like a defamatory statement.
Yeah,
If you go on Reddit, here, you guys keep talking. I'm gonna pull up something on Reddit.
it's like it seems like almost incel culture. Like it seems like an
yeah.
incel culture word. It's just like it's ridiculous. I think we are all in agreement that Idubbbz isn't a simp. I think
Right.
his response video was kind of bad.
He bombed the response video. He made it way too long and too much of an argument instead of just saying, yeah, okay.
Yeah. I think he was also very defensive throughout all of the video. He was attacking people, lashing out at people, you know what I mean?
He kind of legitimized the people attacking him by making it such a serious and in-depth response, when a lot of people were just saying it because it was a meme.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can fault him for that, though.
Well, yeah, but at the same time,
there was so many things, and it gets to the point where it's not really like a meme anymore, and there are people who are serious. Here, I'm gonna read out some Reddit comments about Idubbbz, okay? Someone says, just because you can earn a lot of money from it does not mean it's a right thing to do. Which, it doesn't, that argument, like, that it's morally wrong, I don't think
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, like...
Okay, that is like, okay, that comment right there is someone with puritanical values, right? Like someone who is like...
Yeah.
So willfully ignorant to the cultural changes that have come through America and the world. I mean, like, we don't live like sex work is a real thing now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
and
it
it's
is a
not
thing.
bad for society. Like, the Puritans are always like, no, it's bad for society. Like, what is bad about it? It's good for society. It's like,
the bad
I
thing
don't
for
know.
society is when you threaten them and put them in danger by making them do things under the table.
I mean, I can understand that people don't like how transparent people are about this sort of stuff, but I think being transparent about it and understanding how to do it safely, and be like having our culture being so open to it now is a good thing.
I'm not even someone who like I'm a person who says you can usually keep things to yourself. I don't really care to hear, but you don't get anywhere by just trying to shut it down when it's kind of inevitable. You can't completely shut it down.
Yeah, like take pornography. Like, pornography has literally been a thing since time has existed. Since humankind has existed.
The ancient Egyptians, they drew it out. Like, it's crazy. Keep
like,
talking.
it's such an inevitable thing. You know what I mean? That it's just ridiculous that people like are trying to fight it, because it's been around since humankind has existed. And one thing I must say is that the rise in sex work and things like that has very much helped the LGBT community. Like, I think this is something that people miss, but if people weren't as open about it and transparent about their sexuality, I don't know if we would have ever moved on from the time period where it was thought to be morally incorrect, to be gay or to be transgender, things of that nature. I think that with our culture being more open, and like people are listening more to they're willing to share more about their personal lives and their choices, or well, not choices, but like choices like with sex and things like that. It's really helped the LGBT community, which is a great thing, because it's ridiculous to discriminate against a group of people for who they love. You know what I mean? Like that's one really good thing I think that's come out of it, just as an example.
Right, I agree. Yes, I agree definitely.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Another
but
Reddit comment.
there's actually, it's crazy. It's hard to find Reddit comments that are like actually criticizing him, because everyone else is kind of more on like our side than you would have think.
More of a like broad scale type thing. Do you think that it is like quote unquote simping? Is it a negative thing? Is it something that you think is toxic, or is it should it be put in the negative light it is now, all like memes and Idubbbz aside?
No, because it's just respecting women, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
I think there's a point where it gets annoying. Like,
Yeah,
if
it's
the
annoying.
same
Yeah,
guy
like on the
is,
guy's
like,
side.
in your DMs. Like if I were to like DM some model like every 15 minutes, like complimenting her, like that's just annoying, right? But that's not like a toxic thing. You know what I mean? Like, people take it as such a negative thing, and it's really, it's really an incel thing. I mean, to demonize people who are in quotes simping. I mean, like showing a lot of respect and being nice towards women. I mean, it just seems like something a group of people who hates women would want, from culture. I don't see it as a negative thing at all. I think the meme has just gone way too far. I mean,
Totally.
like, it's not even funny anymore. Like, I don't think it's funny at all to call someone a simp. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not even that funny. I don't know. I'm sure I'm gonna get a comment that I'm a simp.
Bro, Aiden, are you simping right now?
Yeah, I'm simping.
Are you
for all the
simping
simps
for
right
the
now.
Sims?
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, people are just crazy. They blow everything out of proportion. It's just,
That's life.
That is life.
I guess so. I don't know. I don't really have much more to say on that topic, honestly, because
Yeah, I think most level-headed people on the internet can agree that he had a bad response, but you probably don't need to ruin his career over something that wasn't even his original decision.
yeah. Well, I mean, people are gonna say that, like, his girlfriend's a bad person. You know what I mean? But I watched a video. It was by a guy. He was called Diesel Patches, and he's like a commentary channel. And he was like, one of the criticisms he had was like, you're doing this to support a girlfriend who's a terrible person, so you should just break up with them. Like, that was like pretty much one of his criticisms, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Right. So I was watching the H3 podcast, and they made a great point. I think Idubbbz knows, like, I think he's weighed out the options on if he personally thinks his girlfriend is a bad person. Like, I think he
Yeah.
knows more than you do if his girlfriend is a bad person. And I think if
Definitely.
she were, you wouldn't stay with them. I mean, that's just how relationships work. You know more than people on the internet now.
Exactly.
And we could get more into it, but there's a lot of things, like there's a lot of evidence that she's not actually a bad person. Like, that everything is just being blown out of proportion, just for seemingly just no reason. Like, I don't understand. Some people are just so angry. Like, it seems like there's like a reason they're doing it, but there's really no reason other than girlfriend making an OnlyFans. Like, that's the only reason that they're mad at, that relationship, those two people. But yeah, there's not really much else to say.
Yeah. Well, I think it's funny how I feel like Leafy was just like sitting behind his computer waiting for this day to come so he can make a video. But
Yeah.
both of the videos he made are not at all funny. Like, they're just not funny, and they're super conceited, and like it casts him in such a poor light. like he was waiting for the day when Idubbbz finally messed up, and then it's like not even a big deal when he's finally cast in negative light, and Leafy is just like back there plotting out videos and stuff.
He doesn't survive in today's YouTube.
No, he was way too toxic.
No, yeah.
Seriously, like I hate Leafy is here. Like such a toxic person, like on a platform.
I remember
He calls
watching his
people
video.
gay and he's gay.
I had
Did you guys know that?
notifications on him like 3 years ago. I
You
rushed
watched
to watch
Leafy?
every video. Yeah.
That's
I,
epic.
I was a hisser.
I mean, it's kind of entertaining, but it's like not a good thing to have, you know, by any standard.
And I acknowledge that was a very toxic phase of my existence. I would not call those days the glory days when looking back up on my childhood.
Well, you can't get mad at yourself for that. That's normal. Because children aren't people, they don't have actual thoughts.
Well, they have thoughts, but it's not like complex, like
They can't
thoughts.
they can't rationalize stuff. Okay, well, I think that's about it for today. Aiden, Michael, you guys have anything else to say? Oh, I remember I have something to say. So a lot of people are
Like, we're still going.
well, no, it's just one last thing. It's very quick. A lot of people are kind of crapping on our name, you know? They're saying Mac saves the world. Who's Mac? Who's Mac? And I'm here to say that there is no Mac. Or there is a Mac. Mac could be all of us combined. It's actually our initials, Michael, Aiden, Connor, MAC. And the save the world thing is more like kind of joking, like, oh, our ideas are gonna fix problems in the world when they're not really going to. We're just here for discussion.
We are
about
omnipotent gods.
problems. Right. So yeah, that's the explanation of the name. We really like the name. The name is, I think it'll grow on
I think
people.
it's really cool. I think it's really cool.
But yeah, anything else to say before we wrap it up?
Just thank you again for the support of the last video.
Especially if you've made it this far.
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
if you've made it this far, you're a fan.
Yeah,
You're a saint.
yeah. No, but seriously, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. You know, this is a very fun project for us, especially because, you know, we've been super bored lately, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So, like, seriously, thank you guys for supporting this and our, like, little adventure we're doing here. Also, join the Discord if you want. It's a cool platform. You guys can contact us with questions, stuff like that. We could even play games together and stuff like that if you have a PC or something like that. So, you know, it's like seriously a really cool platform. The link to that's going to be in the description.
Same with our Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. We want to get our Instagram popping. You know, we're gonna post about this podcast. We're gonna try to have some interactive stuff on Instagram. You know,
At Max Saves the World, right?
yes.
All right, yeah. So, again, though, thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, seriously, that's cool. Yeah. So I think we're gonna call it a wrap on this one. See you guys
Thanks,
later.
guys. See ya.
Bye.